We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin the Friday edition of VSiN By The Books. I'm Dave Ross here at a very populated downtown Las Vegas, Nevada at 4 a.m. here, Jensen, local time. He's our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in Cleveland, Ohio. How are you on this Friday morning, my friend?
Better late than never. I thought you were just going to have a silent protest because Circa did not have the PGA Championship on the big screen on the studio TVs. So I love it. You stand your ground, as we always do in the Lewis Ross administration. We do not give in to any demands whatsoever. But yeah, buddy, great way to end the week. We've been on fire on the Daily Diamond. Really appreciate so many people that have been following us and sending us those great messages on social media. Mm-hmm. So let's finish the week strong. And boy, yet another great night in sports yesterday, my friend. A lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about, certainly you have been absolutely on fire with the Daily Diamond. We'll get to that, obviously, as the show goes today. Another great show here lined up for us. Thomas Gable is going to join us here in hour number one right there at the Borgata on the East Coast in Atlantic City. Billy Body will go over the seas, as we like to do, and talk some soccer for the weekend. You know, if it's a fight night, we got to have our guy Gambler. Lou Finicaro is going to join the program to begin hour number three. Intriguing matchup here in Las Vegas with Gilbert Burns against Michael Morales this weekend. And a little birdie has told me, Jensen, that Matty Betts is already in town for this one. So it should be an interesting fight card here. And then our guy, Jonathan Davis, JD, is going to be catching up with us to talk all things puck for the night on ice and what we might see this weekend. But we did have big news in the NBA. We kind of thought it might happen this way, and it did. That begins our highlights and headlines.
Help your bottom line with today's highlights and headlines.
Well, the Joker got the last laugh last night. Nikola Jokic flirting with that triple-double, a big Game 6 win in Denver, forcing that Game 7 back at OKC. We talked about it yesterday that, again, if you wanted to take the Celtics 2 nights ago, we brought it up at 30-1. You wanted to take the Nuggets at 25-1. This was the rationale. Could they get there? We'll find out. But we did say, boy, if you want to take the Nuggets plus the 4.5, go right ahead. But really, the money line play might be the way to go here. And Jensen, it's exactly what happened. I guess the takeaways or the questions are, is it more about the Nuggets and Jokic and Murray, or is it more about still OKC being young and struggling to close this series out?
Yeah, first of all, we kind of felt that the Nuggets would have to come out and very similarly to what we saw with the Celtics, just really try and punch the Thunder in the face. And an early lead at the end of the first, but then Oklahoma City closing the way they did into halftime. Lou Dort hitting that three-pointer as time expired to take in a 3-point halftime lead. The halftime adjustments, though, and this is where I think the Nuggets have really the last couple of games heading into last night shot themselves in the foot, right? It's been Oklahoma City in fourth quarters that has really dominated. But the Nuggets flipped the script there in that third quarter. May live in infamy here if you're OKC, allowing the Nuggets to come out of the locker room, really take pace and dictate what they wanted to, and kind of going away here, right? 12-point win. And now here we go. All the pressure back on OKC. They were supposed to have this thing wrapped up maybe a day or two ago. But the heart of a champion, the Celtics showed it just a night or so ago, and the Nuggets do it again last night.
So when we get back on Monday morning, we will have decided who's going to be in the Western Conference Finals with Minnesota. Right now, OKC 7-point favorites in that all-important Game 7 on Sunday. And so, again, I think either one of these teams is going to be kicking themselves, whoever does not advance, because Denver certainly had the opportunities to close out potentially these games 4 and 5. Didn't get that done. They'll have one more chance. Got to do it on the road against OKC on Sunday in that Game 7. Now, we do have some other highlights that we want to get to. And how about this with the Carolina Hurricanes? They finished off the Caps last night 3-1, so they get to the Eastern Conference Finals here. And again, Washington now has a very long offseason. Alexander Ovechkin, a fantastic regular season, all the history that was made there. But yet, they go out here to Carolina in 5. They're going to await Carolina now, the winner of the Florida-Toronto series. Carolina feels like that team that's not getting talked about, Jensen, and now you got to once you get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
No doubt. That was kind of the illumination we had after their first-round series was everyone else talking about how Florida beat Tampa and what a remarkable series it was for Washington. And Alex Ovechkin, can he lead this group that had the most points in the regular season to what could be a storied playoff run? Here we go, lying in the weeds. Carolina just collecting wins, doing what they do, and will be a force to be reckoned with. Ironic now, Dave, the backdrop of what? No Rangers, no Bruins, no Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, very much no Pittsburgh Penguins. A lot of these big-time brands and traditional teams that you're used to seeing as powerful clubs. We're going to yet again get a Southeastern Conference final in the Eastern Conference, man. I mean, it is remarkable, really, to see what has happened thus far. But Carolina, maybe that team that has been overlooked thus far the most here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Because
we don't know who their opponent is yet, they are the favorites to win the East, obviously, having advanced already. But it's a minus $1.05 price point. Now, we know Toronto. Nobody is thinking that Toronto's going to be able to get off the deck here. They're 12-1 as the long shot to win the East here, down 3-2 to Florida, who the reigning defendings. They are plus $1.15, but still work to be done there. But Carolina has already advanced to the Eastern Conference Final. Now, to win the Stanley Cup, Carolina right now is the second betting choice. 5 cents separates Edmonton at plus 265, Florida at plus 275, and Carolina's right in the middle there at plus 270. But how about Winnipeg? Connor Hellebuck gets a shutout last night, 4-0 over Dallas, so they still stay alive right now in the Western Conference here. Dallas obviously is still in command, 3-2. They're going to go back and play that Game 6 on Sunday in Dallas. But what do we make of Winnipeg now? Because at home, I know you cashed this ticket again last night. I don't want to say it feels like the easiest zigzag of all time, but it's like Winnipeg on the road, you fade them. Winnipeg at home, you back them.
Well, this has been basically the fade and the tail of Connor Hellebuck, home and road. And anxious to hear, Jonathan Davis in more of the great trends that he has been researching, has been playing, has been profiting off. But I'm also interested to hear from his perspective because he's watched Connor Hellebuck as much as anyone here on the network. Why the stark contrast? You asked me yesterday, the stark contrast between guys at home, guys on the road, hitters you see well, and hitters, that you just can't get out to save your life. So if it is a mental thing, Rachel Dory brought up a great point yesterday, and it bears repeating. Is there a depth perception issue for Connor Hellebuck? Because when they do the whiteout at home in Winnipeg, it feels like he sees everything in 4K, high definition. But you go on the road, and it's back to standard def, and he's got as good a chance as you and I do behind, or at least in front of the pipes.
And that's the thing. Like, we're looking at him, and he's going to win that third Vezina, we do believe, this year for sure. Hellebuck for what he did in the regular season as the best goaltender in the NHL. Normally, to me, I would say, well, I want to back that guy, Jensen. That's the guy I want to back in a second series, is the guy that's been the best in the regular season. But if there is some issue that we're not privy to, but maybe we're figuring out on the road, that depth perception is a real thing. Like, is there any way we can look to Winnipeg in Game 6? Or you want to go back to the Dallas side here to get this thing done? Because a Game 7 in Winnipeg, you would have to feel pretty good about his chances.
No doubt. And I think that's probably the one thing you look for is the urgency now. Perhaps a first period play for the Dallas Stars back at home, because that really has been, where they have had the opportunity to put Hellebuck and Winnipeg on, their heels. Mm-hmm. And as you kind of look at where the initial numbers are here, and I'll kind of, look through it throughout the show, you already have the Stars as a $1.62 favorite and 81% of the money already there on Dallas and climbing as we speak, at least here on DraftKings. So I think, and I know our esteemed producer, Brandon Valesky, will be a bit nervy watching this thing on Saturday. If Dallas is off kilter at all, and Winnipeg's able to steal it, oh my goodness. Can you imagine? I don't think Dallas fans can take another Game 7 with what they had to go to the previous round with Colorado. But we may be there. So the handicap early would be Stars first period. And we know that Mikko Rantanen will have to be very much involved here if the Stars are able to finish this thing off.
Yesterday, Winnipeg was 15-1 to win the West. Today, they're 9-1. So that's been shorted $6 with this Game 5 win to force that Game 6 in Dallas. Now, Jensen, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, the birthday boy, what are your plans? Happy birthday to our own Jensen Lewis. What are the big plans tonight on a Friday night in Cleveland?
So you're getting old when you get really excited about getting a new grill. Okay, hey! So all week, Michelle and I have been cleaning off our patio and our deck and just getting ready, because today is supposed to be one of those Fridays where the weather is good. You get a couple of steaks, some twice-baked potatoes, nice bottle of red wine. We'll sign off at 10 a.m. and she's got a half day today, so we'll start the festivities early in the afternoon, a little happy hour here at the household, and hey, wherever the night takes us, hopefully it's profitable either way.
Happy 30th birthday to our own Jensen Lewis. I mean, you look fantastic, my friend.
30.
30 and holding, my man. You're doing great. God. Keep it up.
We've done 30. We're now doing 30 for the 11th time. We'll try and do it better. As they say in Top Gun, we'll try and do it better and cleaner this time.
Yeah, I think I get somewhere in there with that 5, and then I just freeze like card sharks right on the 5, Jensen. It never moves past that. When we come back, my friend, we're going to talk a lot about the PGA Championship. What a wild first round. Maybe some names we didn't expect, and we'll figure out if we can get some that we should expect to make a run today. That is next when you come back with us right here on the birthday edition of VSiN By The Books.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Nicole Byer, helping you make those rooms flyer. Today's style tip: when it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild! Like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Ooh, fierce! This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross with the birthday boy, Jensen Lewis. And we didn't know this, but Brendan Valesky, our producer, informed us that on your birthday, 39 years ago, was the debut of Top Gun in the theaters. Today, of all days, on your birthday, one of our favorite all-time movies, with Maverick and Goose, of course, is Top Gun. And, like, if you had to pick your character, are you too big to be Tom Cruise to get in the cockpit? Could you have been Iceman? Because, like, the height things, those canopies, you got to watch your head. Goose didn't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because I'm 6'3",
oh boy,
that'd be a super tight fit. I don't even think I'd be close to fitting in there. Now I could be wrong, but I feel that it was a kid, growing up was my favorite movie besides Major League, and so I think I told you when I was on the JV basketball team, I would watch the last 20 minutes, the dog fighting back and forth, and that would get me fired up before my mom would take me to basketball games. So that I had to watch it. That was my superstition. I had to watch to make sure that my mind was ready and I was all jacked up to shoot threes and free throws because that's all I could really do. But yeah, man, that's wild. Good nugget there from Brandon today. Really love that.
10 minutes. This thing will be over in 2 minutes. Get on it. What a great final scene. And again, happy birthday to our own Jensen. It was great to have you. Some people take off on their birthday. We work on our birthday, right? We don't mind working on our birthday. It's not a holiday for us.
This is not working, though. We get to talk golf. We get to talk more Daily Diamond. I mean, come on. Let's do it.
Come on. We're having a good day on your birthday. Speaking of those tickets yesterday, PGA Championship, what a first-round sweat it turned out to be for yours truly. Had a 150 to 1 on Cam Davis, first-round leader. Now, if people weren't watching what was happening yesterday, Cam Davis got it to 6 under, going to the 9th hole, which was his 18th hole. And he makes bogey on 9, which is, again, his last hole of the day. So he's in the clubhouse, tied with Ryan Gerard, who was also at 5 under par. Now, Gerard had been at 7 under par and then bogeyed the last 2 of his holes to drop back to 5. So you kind of got a little bit lucky to even be in that position if you're young Cam Davis from Australia. And then Johnny Vegas, out of nowhere, Johnny Vegas birdied 6 of his last 7 holes to get into the house at 7 under, 2 clear of the lead. So I thought we were going to get a chop, Jensen, with a big 150 to 1 ticket on Cam. We don't get that. Those are pizza money plays. We talk about them all the time on the show. No, I'm not a hedger. I know some people, hey, take the cash out. That's not me. I'm going to keep rolling because I know that those cash outs are the advantage casino, not advantage player. So I'm not going to be in that boat. I know some people like to do those things, Jensen. But again, we are live with Cam Davis, at least for a second day, at 400 to 1 is what we got him pre-tournament. And again, if you go back to the card, Ludwig is there at 1 under par, so he's only 6 off the lead. But really, I kind of look at it like, is Johnny Vegas going to hold up at 7 under? If he does, you tip your cap. I kind of look at Ludwig and say he's really about 4 off the lead. Cantlay, bad day. Brooks Koepka, bad day. Berger fought for us there. He's hanging around there. And then Thomas Dietrich is at 3 over par, 275 to 1. And those longer shots that we talked about with Dietrich and Cam were more born on these guys can hit it a country mile. It's a bomber's course. You got to be able to get it really out there, especially in the green mile 16, 17, and 18 to wrap things up to Quail Hollow. Let's see if Cam can give me a 3-day sweat. That's really all I'm looking for when you got a 400 to 1 ticket, Jensen. So for day one, pretty darn happy the way some of these long shots potentially could play out.
Yeah, I would agree, and was kind of playing around with some of the numbers this morning. If you're looking for a positional finish, and if you don't think that Johnny Vegas can win it, still feel getting plus money. If you're on DraftKings, because it does include the ties there for top 5, top 10. Not mad at you if you want to hop on Johnny Vegas plus $1.50 at a top 10 finish. You think about it right now, 4 shots separating him from a tie for 9th, the boatload of guys at -3. And so unless it's an absolutely atrocious blow up today and tomorrow, you'd have to think that he's got a great opportunity to be there. He's never won a major. I saw a lot of memes and a lot of posts on social media yesterday. A lot of people were like, this is not the leaderboard I asked for in a major. Just not a lot. But hey, that's great news for us.
Yes.
Because you mentioned it yesterday, world number 1, 2, and 3. Not the best day. Although Scotty Scheffler rallies, finds himself 5 back. If you are on DraftKings, and just throw this out to people, they are offering a bonus today of a 25 to 50% boost. And so, the 25%, it doesn't get you much, but it does get you into plus money, I believe, or at least close to it. For a top 5 finish, if you wanted to jump in there on Scotty to get back into the fight, at least be in contention. So a lot of different ways to jump in live on a lot of big names, Dave, and I know that's something we'll be definitely looking at.
I know you and I are both on the big Swede, Ludwig Åberg. I don't think Ludwig, he didn't play great yesterday and still was under par. So I kind of look at that and think we might be live there. Actually, we've got a little bit of CLV right now because he's down to 22 to 1. Not a lot of movement from what we got him pre-tournament, but I don't think he's out of the fight by a long shot here. You mentioned Scotty Scheffler at 2 under par. The question was yesterday, because we talked about the rain all week with our guy Rex Goddard on the golf course there on Tuesday leading up to the tournament here beginning yesterday. And it was going to be the PGA could make the determination, Jensen, that if you're in the fairway, lift clean in place, you can clean that golf ball if you want. They did not. So it's called playing it up or playing it down, right? Not famously playing years ago with Jay Billis. And we said, somebody said, Jay, what rules are we playing? He said, the rules of golf. And that's the rules of golf yesterday said you cannot clean your golf ball, even if it's wet and you get a mud ball in the middle of the fairway. I want you to hear from Scotty, who got one of those dreaded mud balls. I think it affected Scotty a little bit. Here's Scotty Scheffler after the round and the decision to play the ball as it lies.
And when you think about the purest test of golf, I don't personally think that hitting the ball in the middle of the fairway you should get punished for. And on a golf course as good of conditioned as this one is, this is probably a situation in which it would be the least likely difference in playing it up, because most of the lies you get out here are all really good. And so I understand how a golf purist would be like, oh, play it as it lies, but I don't think they understand what it's like literally working your entire life to learn how to hit a golf ball and control it and hit shots and control distance. And all of a sudden, due to a rules decision, that is completely taken away from us just by chance. And in golf, there's enough luck throughout a 72-hole tournament. I don't think that the story should be whether or not the ball's played up or down.
Rumph. It's about as heated as you see Scotty Scheffler, if you want to call that heated. Very, very measured in his response. But I think he went on to say, too, look, I didn't want to let it affect me, right? And if I was going to let that, because he had a ball on 16 that he hit in the water. And then, ironically, Xander Schauffele, also on 16, got a mud ball from the middle of the fairway. He put it in the water as well. So, Jensen, you know, it is funny that he says, like, people like us are going to go, hey, you play it the way it is. But he mentioned you work your whole life. I actually agree with Scotty that if you hit the ball in the fairway, you should not be penalized to say, hey, we're not going to let you clean it. As an athlete, you guys get out there, you're used to maybe the mound's got to be the right way. You get conditioned to kind of the rules of what you're used to and accustomed to as a big-time athlete. What'd you make of Scotty's comments there that maybe I think he feels like they made the wrong decision yesterday to play the ball down and where it lies?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think that Scotty is completely in the right. In the fact that you had across the board nearly unanimous, anyone that was asked about it had a similar response. There should not be it's not like this snuck up on the PGA.
Yeah,
and the powers that be, and so why not have a conversation, with basically your big time guys on, that are in, you talk with Rory, talk with Scotty, talk with, whoever else you want to before you tee on Thursday and say, hey, this is what we were thinking about doing. We want it to be, we want everyone to feel like they're in the same competitive balance. Don't know why that conversation didn't happen. If it did, and they just like, we're going to go a different way. Bad job on the PGA out of that. So when you have that kind of response from the guy who's arguably the most even keel and nicest dude on tour, that's a tough pill to swallow. And it's not like this is going away today and through the weekend.
And I don't think they're changing the rule for today. So know that going in, you might get, and look, I do appreciate it. Like listening to that yesterday, I was like, whoa, that is as critical as you're going to hear Scotty Scheffler after a round of golf. If he's not critical about himself, but to be critical about the golf course and the decision that was made, that's as critical as it gets. You could tell he was agitated by that, but he is at 2 under par. By the way, he's shorter right now on the odds board than he was pre-tournament. He's plus 330 to win this thing. So it does kind of tell you that with Rory struggling yesterday at 3 over par, and I'm not saying Rory is done, Jensen, but Rory's got to think about going maybe 65, 65, 65 the rest of the way. He's got no wiggle room. You got to make the cut first before you can win the tournament. By the way, check it out, VSiN.com, each and every day. Greg Peterson's going to give you his baseball picks. We got our Pimlico picks for the Preakness weekend. Adam Burke's got his Circus Survivor conundrum. We already have a conundrum in May. How about that? Celtics, Knicks, best bets. Jonathan Davis, we're going to have him on the program later. Get it all there. 14 months of VSiN Pro for just $199. Use the promo code PRO.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books, on this birthday edition of By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis here. On this Friday edition, we're going to have our guy Thomas Gable join us here in the next segment, coming up from the Borgata there in Atlantic City. I will be curious if the liabilities are going to lie with the Knicks for Thomas. Like, again, regional, because we talk about this. We would go down south, talk to our guy Carl Johnson. We know that was SEC country, so they would always down there at Beau Rivage, you kind of have to fade your teams in the region. I wonder if that's going to be the same because, Jensen, as you know, being in that part of the country, that's also kind of Celtics country too, right? So the Knicks and Celtics there, I'll be curious, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Thomas might be rooting for the Celtics. And we're going to kick off this segment talking about that game in particular because right now the Knicks are not big favorites to get this done tonight in Game 6. So it is back at the Garden, obviously, the world's most famous arena. And we mentioned this before Game 5. The Celtics at that point were 30-1 to come out of the East. We said if they look good and they blow out the Knicks, that number is going to get chopped big time. It's exactly what's happened. Look at where this number is. It's only 2.5 points. It's $1.20 in the money line for the C's tonight to get this done at the Garden. Jensen, as great as those first two comebacks were, and obviously Jason Tatum was healthy then, he obviously will not be available for the rest of this year, however long it goes for the Celtics. Do you think that Game 5 in Boston said, all right, you know what, we can do this against this team even without our best player?
Yeah, well, yes, because you won as convincingly as you did. I think the prevailing sentiment here is the top question to answer is what do we get from Kristaps Porzingis? Okay, Jaylen Brown is going to have to carry most of the load. We believe Derek White, if he follows up the shooting night that he had in Game 5 and has it in Game 6, here we go. Supporting cast. Shout out Vandy boy Luke Cornett for what 6-7 blocks. Peyton Pritchard did his thing. So the team aspect of it was really good. We did not have a situation where Jalen Brunson could stay out of foul trouble. Karl Anthony Towns was Josh Hart gets slapped over the top of the head and is bleeding profusely. Yeah. So I still feel that if you are a Celtics backer, this game probably has to go over. Okay. Ooh. If you think I think they have to try and find a way to score like they did in Game 5. If this is a defensive battle, much in the same way you and I looked at the NCAA tournament, right? Mm-hmm. We'd rather gamble on teams that could score, yes, and then we'll figure out the defense later. If you can't score, you're in trouble. Okay, so I think if the Celtics can't score, they're in trouble. I lean the under in this game. No play on the spread for me, but I do lean the under. You can still find 211s out there. I know it's 210 at Circa. That's where I would look, Dave. But again, it's very convincing what the Celtics did, but I think they got to figure out, can they get anything from Kristaps Porzingis? If you can't, boy, you are in deep trouble going on the road. I like where your head's at. By the way, the total has ticked up to 210, so if you do like that under, you might want to wait, because I have a feeling people are going to keep betting this over, and I'm kind of with you. Yeah. If this is as tight as the spread would indicate at 2.5, and it's a possession-type game, you might not play that foul game down the stretch. If it's tight, if it's a 1-2 possession game, you play it out. And that gets you towards unders more often than not than it would overs. If this thing's in that 7-8 point margin in the final 2 minutes, and maybe you're playing the foul game, that could extend it, and that's where that over could get dicey. But I see it the same way you do, in that certainly Derek White, can he repeat the shooting performance? I don't know. But I'm with you. If I'm a Knicks backer here, grind this thing up, Tibbs. Run them off the 3-point line. Like, don't let him shoot those threes. Make him play the 2-for-3 game. Like, that's absolutely what I want to do. Make Jalen Brunson drive, and if he's got to get the ball out of his hands. If Josh Hart beats you, if these other guys can beat you from the perimeter, great. But don't let it be Brunson, and literally run him off the 3-point line if he can do that. That's the best way, and by the way, would lead more towards an under. If you can run those Celtic shooters off the 3-point line as well. I just look at this and I go, if you didn't grab the 30-1 on the Celtics before, by the way, now to win the East, Boston is down to 475. I mean, it's a seismic, but we talked about it. It's exactly why we talked about it, that it would be a seismic change because the visuals would be, look how good the Celtics looked.
It's a one game without Jason Tatum sample size, so it's not a big one, but it did look good. My question would be now, if you're a Knicks backer, who, oh, by the way, the Pacers are plus $1.15 to win the East. The Knicks right now are plus $1.35. If you can't get this done tonight with no Jason Tatum, think about what that arena is going to sound like late, and think about what the pressure is going to be. We talked about Toronto, north of the border in hockey. It's going to be the same for the Knicks. It's going to be kind of that negative energy that starts to come back towards the Knicks if they can't get this done tonight. So, Jensen, if that first half is nervy for them, you're going to feel it in that building, because those fans, man, they're like, tonight is our night. New York City's going to be on fire. And if they don't go out early and this thing gets tight, that favors the Celtics, right?
Yeah.
A closer game is going to favor the C's.
Celtics +1 right now on the first half spread, and they're plus $1.10 on the first half money line. First quarter, Celtics getting half a point. So, yeah, I think market kind of tells you they feel that it'll be pretty nip and tuck here. But something tells me the Knicks rally. They find a way to do it. And God, if the NBA conspiracy theories want to continue, do they want an opportunity on Monday night? To potentially have, would it be Monday night? Would be the
or would it be Sunday?
Saturday. I'm sorry. No, Sunday. My apologies.
Sunday.
Maybe it's Sunday. But you already have the Nuggets.
You have 2 Game 7s on Sunday. Oh, ratings through the roof.
Wow.
I mean, if you're into those sort of things.
Yeah.
and
the NBA
the networks are. They're very much into those sort of things. Interesting. I didn't even think of that angle, but yes, potentially a Game 7 Sunday night at the Garden. That could be big-time numbers as well. By the way, Sharp Plays, if you haven't checked them out yet, sharpplays.com. They're there for you. They're going to really help you out in the betting market, that's for sure, because Sharp Plays is using cutting-edge AI and trusted insider sources. Sharp Plays is going to deliver the edge that makes serious bettors to rely on their information. So unmatched transparency, records updated daily, AI betting analysis, real-time global betting info, alerts directly from the pros, going to get them in your inbox and or on X. Sharpplays.com. They're watched, respected, and feared. So again, it's Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com. Speaking of nervy fan bases, if the Knicks get nervy tonight and you're watching north of the border in Toronto to see what's going to go down in Sunrise, Florida against the Panthers, and I know our friend Rachel Dory is going to be watching with bated breath, and so will all of Maple Leaf Nation. They're big-time underdogs to force a Game 7 back north of the border in the 6. I like the fact that the Maple Leafs are on the road. It kind of like we just talked about with the Knicks, how it's going to get nervy at the Garden if it's tight. When you're on the road, man, everybody's expecting you to lose, right? it's the Panthers. They're the reigning defendings. This thing's over. Could this actually work to the Maple Leafs' advantage at least for their psyche, that they're not in Toronto?
Yes, it could. And as I told you yesterday, sometimes going on the road is the best thing to happen for a team where it's you guys in a foxhole. It's us against the world, and there's no outside distractions. Yeah, family's probably on the trip, but it's not having to kind of go through the rigmarole of being at home and all the other distractions that come with it. So as I looked at the numbers here, Dave, it's not that far-fetched, at least where the data is at. And if you're just strictly want to bet this thing on data, 27% of the bets in the Leafs right now, 51% of the handle. Okay, so it's not a convincing amount, but at least from that aspect, that's the lean for me at the moment. Would be the Leafs on the money line, and Florida. It's always that clincher is always the toughest game to win. Doesn't matter how far up in the series you are. You have that team backed into a corner. They're going to come out swinging. Very intrigued to hear what JD has to say, Jonathan Davis, coming up, and how he handicaps that aspect of it as well. Just knowing where the pressure may lie here, more so on Toronto than would on Florida. So, yeah, that would be my lean. My lean would be the Leafs plus 200 there on the money line. And here we go north of the border for a Game 7.
What about we'll kick the tires with JD later in the program. What about a little Leafs reverse puck line? How about that?
Could be.
Right? Because if you like Mitch Marner getting out of the 6, Austin Matthews, get out of there. Everybody, those are like public enemies 1 and 2 right now. All of a sudden, you just open up the floodgates, baby. Get that reverse puck line number on Toronto to win by 2 or more goals. If you're
plus 410, plus 410 right now. Toronto minus 1.5.
I mean, just throwing it out there. Well, we'll see what JD thinks about that play a little bit later on in the program. When we come back, let's go to the Borgata, catch up with our guy Thomas Gable. That is next here, VSiN By The Books.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books, on this Friday edition of Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis here with you. Always love catching up with Thomas Gable at the Borgata. Does a great job there as a race and sportsbook director. Joins us now here in the Progressive Guest Line. Give him a follow on X as I do at T Gable Sports. And Thomas, when we say race and sports, race part of it is going to be paramount this weekend at the Preakness. Everybody wants to always bet for the Triple Crown. Do you see that after the Derby is done, that people then want to go in and say, all right, whoever wins the Derby, I'd like to bet that horse to win the Triple Crown?
Yeah, you did. And obviously this year you're not going to get that.
Right.
And good morning to both of you. Jensen, happy birthday to you. And Dave,
Thank you.
Welcome back from vacation. I'm glad you only took a week, unlike one of your predecessors in that chair from a previous iteration of the show, the Lombardi line. Patrick Maher used to take off the entire week of July and call it a vacation. So I'm glad to see you stuck to a week. But, yeah, for the Preakness, listen, it always is good when you have the Derby winner in the field. It brings more eyeballs to the race, that there's a Triple Crown chance. And unfortunately, Sovereignty the owners decided, hey, we're going to point to the Belmont Stakes, which is in 3 weeks. We're going to skip the Preakness. But we do have a decent field. I was a little concerned what this field would kind of look like without Sovereignty. But the runner-up in the Derby and the betting favorite for the Derby, Journalism, is in this race. He'll be starting out of the number 2 post. Umberto Rispoli back in the irons on Journalism, 8-5 on the morning line. He will definitely go off as the betting favorite in this race as well. I was actually a little concerned seeing him in the field at first because I thought it would make for a better betting race if Journalism wasn't in the field. But I think with the way this is kind of setting up and the entries we got, it should be okay, and Journalism will go up a little bit better than even money. You have Sandman, who was also a betting favorite there in the Derby, didn't finish so well. He's in this field. John Velasquez on him 4-1 on the morning line. And then you have a Bob Baffert horse who we did not see in the Derby, goal-oriented, coming out of the 1 hole, 6-1 on the morning line, only has 2 career starts. But we'll see here. We know Baffert has the most Preakness victories in history. Flavian Pratt gets the ride there on goal-oriented. So we'll see how he does. But it's always a party there in Baltimore for the Preakness, and should be a good race.
Let me rephrase that, Thomas. That was a poorly executed question on my part. With Sovereignty out and people that did bet those tickets, do they get those refunded, or is that by the book that you got to check those rules if you bet for a Triple Crown winner?
Yeah, if you were betting into a book that was posting odds like that, you're going to have to check the house rules for that, something like that.
Yep. By the way, if you want to bet it here, we got you covered here at VSiN as well with First Bet. You can use the promo code VSiN200 right now. You're going to get a 20% rebate. All those wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. That's win or lose. You're going to get paid back. So download First Bet app or visit firstbet.com first.com/bet. Use that promo code VSiN200 to get started today. Use that promo code VSiN200. Thomas, Jensen and I were talking a lot about the PGA Championship here in the first round. Scotty Scheffler a little bit upset the way that the course was playing with the mud balls that they got out there with all the rain that they had. And then you get to that green mile at the end of this thing to wrap it up on 16, 17, and 18. We know how that is a country mile to finish this PGA Championship come Sunday. What type of wagers are you seeing? And with not the big names up there in the first round of the leaderboard, I wonder if you'll get action on the big guys like Scotty Scheffler's, Rory's at 3 over par for some of those guys to make runs here come the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, pre-tournament, Scheffler was by far the most popular play for us. Went off 5-1, and now repriced plus 350 after he shot 2 under there in the first round. Vegas, who's the leader, 25-1 as we go into the second round. But I think, you know, when you have a bunch of guys, and certainly the bigger names help in terms of the live betting, but when you have a bunch of players who are in the mix, especially in the weekend, it makes for just a much more compelling product in the live betting, and you write more business when you have 3, 4, 5 guys there who can potentially win the tournament. So that always helps the right in terms of the live betting. Now, and I think this course, Quail Hollow in particular, I think it sets up beautifully for the live betting because you really have to take into account how this course plays. And as you said, the green mile there, 16, 17, 18, you go par 4, par 3, par 4, that can measure combined 1,270 yards. And water comes into play on all of them. And that's a very, very tough stretch of holes. If you can get through it even par, that's what you want. But it's the 3 holes prior to that, 13, 14, 15, where you can kind of build up a scoring buffer, if you will, where you can really gain some strokes on the field. And if you look at the Wells Fargo Championship, which is played on this course on tour every year, that's kind of been the way that this has worked out in terms of the winner. You know, McIlroy won this in 2024, won the Wells Fargo there by 5 shots, and he played those holes 6 under for the tournament. Wow. He was 2 over on the green mile. So, and Wyndham Clark, you go back to 2023, Wyndham Clark won the Wells Fargo, same thing. He played 13 to 15, 7 under for the tournament, was even on the green mile. So it's really going to come down to, even though you may have a 2-shot lead going into the green mile, you can cough that up pretty easily. And that's what I think makes for a little bit more compelling in terms of the live betting there.
No question. Jake Knapp right now, 2 under through 2 is the rabbit out early as we get round 2 underway. Round 2 in the NBA here, TG, is going to wrap up in what we believe here the next 3 to 4 days. Results that would be good for you guys. I know we have Game 6 tonight. Knicks Celtics from Madison Square Garden. Chance for New York to get this thing across the line. But a little nervy here. I think Knicks fans not feeling overly optimistic. I think they're confident, but just knowing objects in the rearview mirror are closer than they appear. Size it up for us, not only from the book standpoint, what would be good results for you guys, but also how you see this one playing out.
Yeah, I think the New York Knicks fans found that out firsthand last game, because that was probably the only game of this series where we realized a really nice win off of it, because everybody came in on the Knicks for the last game. And with the Tatum injury, everybody thought it was a foregone conclusion that the Knicks were going to close this out. And, you know, whether they took the points or Knicks money line, a lot of big money came in on New York. And obviously the Celtics came to play, and here we are now at the Garden tonight, and it's going to be this is going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy in the sports book tonight with all the Knicks fans there. You know, in terms of our future liability in the East, we do have liability on the Celtics a little bit, much more on the Knicks. So obviously one of these teams is going to make it through. But if it sets up to be a Knicks-Pacers Eastern Conference Finals, the swing on that for us in terms of the future liability is well into the 6 figures. So, I mean, we realize a big win on the Pacers, and the Knicks are the worst result for us to win the East. So It's going to be a big swing either way. But tonight, we're definitely going to need Boston. There's no doubt in my mind. There's going to be, again, a lot of Knicks money that shows up. We get plenty of New York money, and that's been the case even with Boston losing the first two games here in this series as big favorites. And you thought sportsbooks would be rejoicing across the country. It wasn't necessarily the case of Borgata because we always get Knicks money, and it kind of neutralized the results there. Yeah, he collected all the parlays on those games, but all the Knicks money we get kind of definitely tampered the results in those first two games. So the last game, though, certainly a much better story for us.
Got about 45 seconds to go here with Thomas Gable at the Borgata in Atlantic City. Thomas, are people running to the window to bet the Giants over win total now that the schedule's out?
I can't say we've seen a mass stampede to the window for that, but I will say the schedule makers putting Dallas there in Philly to start off the season, that's going to be a monster handle for us. And it's always nice to see the Cowboys there to see them get to watch the banner getting raised there in Philly for the Super Bowl.
We could have that last part stricken from the record. I'd appreciate it. Tom, there he is, Tom. By the way, if I was not at the Garden tonight, Jensen, I'd want to be at the Borgata with Thomas watching those Knicks fans in attendance tonight for that Sunday. Yeah. How crazy is it going to be at the Borgata? Awesome. Thomas, enjoy it, my friend. We'll always look forward to our conversations next week, even with that Eagle comment that you got in there.
All right. Thank you, guys, and happy birthday, Jensen.
Thank you, buddy.
There he is. Give him a follow at T Gable Sports. A fantastic follow. And again, if you ever get out to the Borgata, go say hi to Thomas. When we come back, we're going overseas with Billy Body talking soccer next year on hour number 2 of VSiN By The Books.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.